Welcome to Upfront. I'm Mary Ruth Snyder, host of today's show, and we have a very special show today. We're talking about Watershed Sentinel, and we are joined by two very special guests, the founder and senior editor, Dolores Broughton, and the other editor, Zoe Blunt. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Now, it would be really interesting, I think, for myself to understand where your journey began as a writer, because it's not every day somebody wakes up and says, oh, I'm going to start a magazine. So how old were you when you first had an inclination for your love of writing?
Oh, back in public school.
Okay.
Way back when I was like about 8 years old or less. I was always fascinated by books, and one of my proudest moments was being allowed to go to the library alone. Whoa! So it just went on and on through all of the decades, doing different publications for different purposes, you know?
All right.
And eventually it wound up being a magazine.
Now, did you grow up in rural Canada, or were you a city kid?
Both.
Both, okay. Yeah. Did you have a preference?
Not really. I liked the cows on the way to school.
And where did you end up doing your post-secondary education?
Toronto.
Oh, okay.
I did my stint in the big city. I wish it had been Vancouver, but it was Toronto. Okay. And I lived in Toronto for about 8 years, and then gradually moved west. Toronto, Peterborough, finally Victoria.
Oh, okay.
And then from Victoria, a few other places in BC. Okay. And finally, 20 years on Cortes Island.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so you're an islander now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I can't really imagine why anybody would want to be anywhere else except on an island.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Zoe, when did you start your writing?
Similar. I started in grade school as well. I mean, I was a real lover of books, and we got to do a little, I think it was in grade 3 or grade 4 that we were able to write our own little pretend books by hand with our little illustrations.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and it was actually sort of my early career too. I started, we had a school newspaper when I was in high school, and I wrote for the school paper in high school, and then again in college. Okay. And I actually was published in the daily paper. I think when I was still in grade 10 or something, and then I was hired actually to be a hockey reporter when I was in senior year in high school. So I would ride the bus with the hockey team. Fun. Go to the games.
Very fun.
Interview the coach after the show, after the game.
Yeah.
They paid me by the column inch. In those days, it was 24 cents a column inch, and a column inch is as it appears in the newspaper. And I think my first paycheck was $1.27, and I was so proud. I had my name in the newspaper too, in the daily newspaper. I was so proud.
And what part of Canada did you do your high school and post-secondary in?
Well, I was born in Vancouver, and I came to Vancouver Island, though, 20 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't really have a writing career as more of an environmental activist, but never gave up my love of, I had a blog, I wrote press releases and grant applications and things like that.
Right.
So I still was writing. But it was a real mix. So I got to know the environmental scene quite a lot, which has been, of course, very helpful for this environmental magazine here.
Right.
Yeah.
How old were you when you realized that the environment is something that we should maybe pay attention to?
Gosh, again, that was in grade school. I think
really?
It was the
okay.
It was at those days. It was nuclear weapons, the nuclear weapons freeze movement, and there were marches happening.
Right.
And so I participated in a march. I think when I was in grade 8 or grade 9. I was
Wow.
in the march for the nuclear freeze. Went to a bunch of us went to the Pentagon
Wow.
and circled the Pentagon to call
Yeah.
for an end to war, and of course, very much an environmental issue.
I have something you might like.
Oh yeah,
From when they were going to raise the Pentagon.
they were going to levitate the Pentagon. Yeah, Abby
I've got,
Hoffman
I've
and
got
the
one
hippies.
of those things, a ticket to that or something.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Now, when did the environmental bug sneak into you?
Well, I'm not sure. My folks were very interested in plants and birds and that kind of thing, so
yeah.
we did a lot of walks
Okay.
in the country, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But when I was in grade 11 or 12 high school, I was editing the student news yearbook.
Right.
And I did an editorial on the need for a UN convention to protect the ocean.
Wow.
And here we are.
Do you remember what year that was?
Oh, it'd be about 64 maybe.
Wow.
It was a while ago,
Okay.
I'm afraid.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating to me to understand when people's sort of causes and passions bubbled up to the surface
Yeah.
and caused them to take action, right? Like, because it doesn't, and for some people that never happens. Some people literally go through their lives and they nothing ever bubbles forward, and they just go through life and they never, a cause of any kind doesn't kind of grab a hold of them. But to have two women here that are been so grabbed and thrust into the environmental cause at such young ages, it's so inspiring to me to have that happen. So
I don't know how that happens. It's just sort of gradually,
yeah,
it wasn't a plan.
right.
Wasn't a plan at all. And I think that also people will become activated when they're in the right situation and there's some kind of structure to help them. Because I did some work
okay.
organizing in care homes,
Yeah.
or in a care home.
Right.
And those women had never done anything else before, but we formed a group and we got the government to step in and help change that situation.
Okay.
And it was just a bunch of women, but I happened to have some organizing under my belt.
Right. Right.
So
What do you think? We're going to go off, like, it's not completely off topic, but we're going to take a little bit of a left turn right here. So when you look back at what was happening in the 60s, where literally an entire decade could be explained by activism, right? Like everybody was on board for something. Like it was women's rights, it was the environment, it was politics, it was the nuclear, it was the Cold War. Like there was a lot, and even in small towns. Like I grew up in a small town in Southern Ontario, and even though there wasn't a real strong thread of activism, there definitely was a thread of service to each other.
yes,
That I'm not really seeing in today's society. And I'm just wondering, from your perspective, coming from the 60s and what you've seen over the last 5 decades, where does today's decade sort of, compare to what was happening? Like, are we worse? Like, what do you see? What are you not seeing?
I was reading something the other day that talked about how our perspective has shifted from we to I. And I think that started in the 80s and has just gradually gotten worse and worse and worse.
Huh.
But that's my personal,
Right.
impression.
So I would absolutely agree with the we versus the I, because I'm seeing that. But it doesn't for myself, when I look back just over the last 2 decades, I see the rise of the I synonymous with the rise of social media, which is like the 2000 forward kind of thing. What was it in the 80s that you started to see that?
Well, that's when the movements in general sort of started to lose their fire.
Right.
And the reason for that was, I think, people starting to care more about their own personal economics and that kind of thing. I'm not saying it completely demolished social consciousness, but it's a gradual process. And yeah, the social media is just accelerated everything.
Okay.
But I think it was there before that.
Okay, interesting. That's a fascinating perspective, and I have a lot of respect for what you've seen in your lifetime, and for how you have kept the fire burning for your cause that you found called to way back in the 60s.
Right.
Zoe, how about you? Like, what was it about the environment that sort of bubbled to the surface for you?
Also pretty young. When I was a kind of a solitary child. I spent a lot of time in the forest, though, whenever I could. And there was a little swamp in my town full of tadpoles and frogs and birds and things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in high school and college, when I coming to the island here, of course. Yeah, I mean, this is a hotbed of environmental activism. I don't think that's ever really stopped.
Okay.
You know, in spite of everything else that's going on in the world, you know, social media is a part of it, but that there is this really collective consciousness about protecting the environment. So there's, you know, the Clayoquot Sound protests, the civil disobedience there, the blockades, and all the way through to the most recent, the Fairy Creek blockades. And the Watershed Sentinel has covered all of this throughout the decades, which is what's really amazing. Yeah. So we have this through line, and so there's this culture where people are consciously passing on this information about how to organize, how to work collectively, how to cooperate. You know, and when people go to these locations, they go to these blockades or forest camps and so forth. They really are leaving everything else behind and learning a new way of being. So this is thousands and thousands of people in this generation, young people, children even, who have been a part of this, who have learned this new cooperative, collective way of caring for the environment, standing up, putting their bodies on the line to protect the environment. And that's incredibly powerful.
Right.
Grassroots organizing. Yeah. There is no substitute for that. No amount of, you know, bureaucratic type environmental organizations can take the place of that groundswell. And it really was. That was not a movement that was orchestrated by any large environmental organizations. And neither is the magazine, by the way. This is not, you know, a publication from a giant global environmental organization or even a national or any environmental organization. This is completely independent and grassroots.
Now, what year did you start the Sentinel?
1991.
Okay.
And I wanted to pick up on what Zoe said, because one of the motivations for me in starting this was to have an environmental viewpoint that was not bound to any large organization or source of money or anything. That was truly an independent viewpoint.
Right.
And so I think we stuck to that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's allowed, awesome. Because there are all these different viewpoints, and because they're not, you know, paid professionals, we're not pushing any particular environmental agenda. I think it's really been instrumental in helping to build a consensus around certain issues, at least regionally.
Yeah.
You know, we have a pretty good regional reach, not so much, you know, some national, a little bit of international. But, you know, I think there's things that everybody can agree on that we've helped to promote.
Right.
Like, you know, drinking water is precious.
Yes.
Watersheds need to be protected.
Yes.
And once, we are blessed on Vancouver Island to have these such abundant fresh water, glacier-fed streams, artesian wells, lakes, rivers, it's I don't think we take it for granted. But
well, and what comes to mind as soon as you talk about protecting watershed is what happened is it Black Creek or Merville, where they allowed that bottling plant?
Yes.
And I still am in absolute shock that the government allowed that plant to be licensed. And all the farmers at the time explained that you're taking the water that we need to grow food.
Right.
And the government said, and they still allowed it. And now here we are 2-3 years later, and now all the farmers are struggling with water because of the water that's being taken out of the watershed because of the bottling plant. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
It's very strange, and there's two issues in the valley that bother me that way. One is the Merville water issue, and the other one is the ship breaking at Union Bay. Both of which seem to be they somehow went through every bureaucratic crack.
Right.
And I mean, there should be a mechanism where it would all go to a judicial review or something, and the judge would say, that permit should never have been issued in the first place.
Absolutely.
But there doesn't seem to be any lever.
Right.
And that's actually a tragedy.
Right.
It is. Yeah.
And
it is.
I have to say, we cover this every couple of issues.
Yes.
Right.
Because we can't let these sorts of things happen.
Now, how many times a year do you publish?
5 times a year.
Oh, okay.
But we also have a website that we occasionally update, and we have the radio show.
Where is the radio show?
So we can talk about that.
It's not on the air yet. They're applying for a broadcast license, so it's online.
Okay.
It's cvox, cvox.ca.
Okay.
And so the radio show is monthly, and we cover sometimes issues that are in the magazine.
Okay.
Other times webinars. I think I'm going to be doing more interviews like this going forward. Yeah.
Now, how many people contribute to any one issue? Ballpark.
Ballpark. Okay, well, there's 3 editors and the design person. There's a circulation person. These are all sort of part-time contract jobs. They're not, nobody's getting rich.
Nobody's making money.
No. And there's a team of writers. I think we have about 30 writers now that we could call on, or that they will come in and out each issue, right? Sometimes one issue, sometimes another. And then there's a crew of proofreaders. So, and then there's a bunch of people just send me stuff. You're probably getting that too. Oh, did you know about this? Did you know about that? And you're like, oh, I'm so tired. But I guess altogether, I'd say 75 to 100.
Wow, that's incredible. What a great collaboration as well.
Yeah, it's a great team. I mean, I haven't been there very long, just about a year actually now, but it's working so well, and we have all these volunteer proofreaders, and they're so committed. They are so loyal to the magazine. They love the Watershed Sentinel. Many of them have been part of this for 20 years or more.
Now, if somebody wanted to get a hard copy, how many do you publish every issue?
Between 2,000 and 2,500.
Okay.
And you can go online to our store and subscribe that way. It's the easiest way.
Okay.
Or you can phone. What else? I'm reading something.
You can pick them up at the library. I think all the libraries in the Vancouver Island Regional Library District, the Comox Library, Campbell River, I think, and Sayward Library, they all have copies. They all get copies of the magazine now. I don't know how fast they go.
Now, is there a library on Cortes Island or Quadra Island? Okay, and they'll be there as well?
Yes,
Okay.
of course.
And now, do you have an online version as well as the hard copy?
We do. It's a PDF,
Yeah.
and we charge for that simply because we can, I guess.
Yeah. Well, no,
Well,
it's
it
also
all costs money, right?
it all costs
So,
money. Yeah.
we have a PDF, but all of our back issues are available in the archives for free.
Wow.
So that's just our educational mandate, because the magazine is actually published by a nonprofit,
Yep.
Watershed Sentinel Educational Society.
Great.
And their big mandate is education.
Okay.
So it's not, I mean, we're really just trying to sell enough subs and get enough donations to
Right.
stay above water.
Now, if somebody wanted to contribute financially, do you have like a donate button on the website?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
And do you, on the website, is there an explanation of kind of the history of like how you found it and who's involved and?
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
There's an About Us, which talks about the early days
Yeah.
when we were just a little Cortes Island publication.
Awesome.
And there's a story too about what happened on Cortes was pretty much a prototype of what went on the coast, where we had a big logging controversy, of course, but then on top of that, the only other industry on the island really was shellfish growing,
Right.
and there was a crisis with the pulp mill pollution
Right.
poisoning the shellfish, and at a certain point the whole island thought we might be shut down.
Right.
So at that point that really spurred the Watershed Sentinel
Okay.
to start working.
Okay.
There was a heron rookery that totally failed one year. 300 birds, no eggs survived.
Wow.
And that was a real wake-up call,
Okay.
which is why we use the heron as our little logo thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. What's your favorite thing about it, about doing it?
My favorite part is we work and we work and we work and we decide what stories are important and all of that. And we do that for weeks and weeks. And then we get the copy and we edit it. And we send it off to our graphic designer. And it comes back looking so lovely.
Yes.
That's my very favorite time.
And how about you, Zoe? What's your favorite part about being involved in the Watershed Sentinel?
Each issue has a theme. I'm going to hold this one up so you can.
Yeah, if
so
you
can
hold it up
see.
nice and steady, then our cameraman extraordinaire can get a really good shot of it.
So you can see how beautiful this design is. This is the War and Peace issue from earlier this year. And so, yeah, great thanks to our design editor, Esther Stribos, for her amazing work. And being able to cover stories that really speak to that theme. And I like stories with a little bit of an edge, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Where, I can tell you, I can give you an example. This is, sometimes things just unfold, sometimes things just, you pull on a thread and it just keeps coming. So I was in Sayward, where I live, and I was looking. I saw a little place on the map that I wanted to visit. It's the White River Provincial Park, and it's just this little spot on the map, and so it's way down. It's 30 kilometers down a very rough logging road, as it turns out. But I made it down there in my little van, and it's just this most beautiful place. It's flat, and there's a plaque there explaining that the loggers wouldn't. They came to log this place back in, I think, the 70s or the 80s,
and 90s.
In the 90s, and they were just so struck by the beauty of the trees, and it's very park-like because it's flat. It's not like mostly the mountains are very rugged.
Right.
And I took a whole bunch of photos, and I thought, well, what a beautiful the Cathedral Grove of the North Island. It's called White River Provincial Park. It's right.
Wow.
You can walk right into the river. There's no steep banks or anything. Just charming.
That's awesome.
And when I got home, I think it was like the next day, I read about a wind farm that's going in right next door, like less than a kilometer from on the ridge that overlooks this little beautiful, peaceful, silent, meditative remote park. They're going to put these giant 80-meter tall wind turbines with 30 meters or 30 feet of these massive concrete footings.
Yeah.
It's just going to become an industrial construction zone. And what was really struck me about it was they're not going to do any environmental assessments.
Oh, interesting.
The birds, the bats, the wildlife, the creeks, the springs, the flora and fauna that live in the area is just going to be, they're fast tracking it. So it's going to go ahead like pretty much immediately. It's the Brewster Wind Project. So it's west of Campbell River here and south of Hayward.
Okay.
We're actually losing a lot of the protections that we had just a year ago.
Right, and with no warning. So I started to write about that story, and then the government, the province, announced that they were going to do away with environmental assessments for a whole array of energy projects. Mm-hmm. And when I started looking into that, I was like, well, why do we need energy in British Columbia? We used to have, they ended the call for power because they said we have plenty of energy until 2030 or something. And it turns out it's because LNG plants are extremely energy intensive. There are all these proposals to build LNG plants on the coast.
Right.
And pressurize, liquefy the gas into a liquid and ship it to China.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we need, like each of these plants is the equivalent of like a Site C dam for the amount of power.
But that's how one thing leads to
Leads
another.
to another.
And that's
our beautiful little park.
Yes.
And this wind power, these turbines and things, they have a lifespan. They have a limited lifespan.
Yeah.
China and other countries are innovating so much with renewable energy that this technology may be completely obsolete in 10 years.
Right.
But the damage will be done, and we might not ever know how much damage is going to be done in the long run.
And that is why everybody should be subscribing to the Watershed Sentinel.
Absolutely. This is the most recent issue.
And ladies, we are out of time. So I just want to explain, I just want to say thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you for sharing the story of the Watershed Sentinel. And we will put up a graphic throughout that has the website on it so people know where to go and where to sign up to become a subscriber and where to donate to this very, very worthy cause in independent journalism. And that is, in today's world, that is absolutely even, I would say, right up there with the importance of protecting the environment. So thank you both so much for your time today, and thank you for sharing a really good example of what people will find in the Watershed Sentinel. So very, very grateful for your time today. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary Ruth.
That's great.
You've been watching Up Front. Please join us again.